Let's talk. Nice.
Welcome to Spencer and Zach Explore the Universe. I'm the Spencer one of us.
And I'm the Zach one of us.
Yes. And Zach and I are both, if you're just tuning in for the first time, we are first and foremost musicians. But really, we're just entertainers. We live to entertain. Specifically, light entertainment.
Yes, very light. I think actually first and foremost we're enjoyers of nerdy things like movies and music, and that has influenced us becoming musicians and now podcasters.
That's right. And we've known each other for a long time.
A long time,
pushing 20 years. So,
and we're only 20 years old.
I know, it's amazing.
Yeah,
I look
amazing.
terrible for 20. some hard city miles on me.
Yeah. I've made some mistakes in my 20 years.
Oof. You can read everyone. Everyone has every mistake I've made is a line etched in my face. A silver guy growing in my beard.
My permanent record.
Yeah, so how about that for that super professional throat clearing?
That's why the people tune in.
That's right.
That's what they want to hear.
Yep. I'm going to take a drink of water now, too. How about that?
Right on. See, you could edit that out, but we're not going to because this is a real podcast.
Raw.
It's not one of those fake ones that you find on wherever you find fake podcasts.
All over. Most podcasts are bullshit, but we bring it.
That's right.
We bring it the real shit.
That's right. That's why you're tuned in. The real shit.
These mics are live. They're capturing it all. The grit.
And only grit. That's it.
The slurping, the sniffles, the seat adjustments. It's all in here. We're not gonna airbrush this thing just to make you comfortable. If you want to listen to this podcast, you're gonna sweat. So, we've done a couple episodes. This one will be the 5th episode, and we have a common friend who said, maybe you should let people know who you are who don't know who you are. Which I agree with that. Hence the little intro there at the top. We'll tighten that up. We got to get our water cooler speech together.
Yeah.
Like, who am I? Who am I? I mean, I've been asking myself that question. I've been walking the earth in a silken robe.
I was going to say, I've been meditating and reading books trying to answer that question, but...
by the world, I mean Portland, and by a silken robe, I mean usually just like jeans and like a horror movie t-shirt. Trying to find myself. But yeah, we'll get our little water cooler speech together. But we thought, pursuant to our episode on Apu, do you feel like getting into the conversation that you had just breached before we started to hit record about your Zoom call?
Sure.
Because so if you haven't listened to the episode a couple episodes ago, recently, white actors. There's been a lot of white actors stepping down who are voicing characters of color on cartoon shows, and so that's what the episode was about. And am I setting the stage right?
You're setting the stage perfectly.
Okay, so on this Zoom call, where a bunch of your old friends, longtime friends. And that episode came up.
That's right. So yeah, a group of friends, the tight group of friends, the high school and beyond friends,
the good ones.
So yeah, we're the good ones. Yeah, the ones that aren't just filling space while you wait to get through high school.
That's right. The ones you take with you.
That's right. The lifers. So everybody on that call, or most everybody, the one person who hasn't, you know who you are. And maybe you have listened to it at this point, but most everybody on that call had listened to that whitewashing podcast, and that was, our So that was the most recent one at the time that we were having that call anyway, and they reminded me that in high school, my freshman year of high school, we did The King and I as our high school production, and I grew up in York, Maine, a predominantly white town. I was.
It's even
my
white for a
family
white town.
It is. It's white for a
It's
white
like,
town. My family being one of 2 to 3, maybe more at this point, families that are the non-white families.
It's like
in the town.
in the whiteness that is there, it's like Connecticut white. It's like it's a white hot whiteness.
It's like white lightning.
Lots of exposed ankles, deck shoes. You know.
But our drama teacher thought it would be a good idea to do The King and I, and that is something that I do think of often because. So I was one of the only freshmen in the show to be cast with a speaking role, and my role was the interpreter. And for
This
some
is
reason,
not going to go anywhere good, I feel like.
No. For some reason, the interpreter was the only character in the play that spoke with an accent.
Yeah.
And that was like the post-rehearsal notes. The director was always just like, no, try it more like this. And of course, we just do the most awful stereotypical accent. And as a freshman in high school, trying to like impress the drama teacher, I was like, "You mean more like this?"
Yeah.
Just making it as awful as he was asking, and not even thinking twice about it. Just being like, "All right, drama teacher, that's what I'll do." And also a couple years later, we did Oklahoma, and he also cast me as the foreign guy in that, and made me do an accent in that play too.
I mean, knowing the director, I'm not shocked. He would do that now.
So I often think about that, like that, the dude with brown skin gets typecast as the guy who has to talk with an accent.
Wait,
but what I
here in
forgot,
Oklahoma, it's like, wait a minute. I don't think that there were any like gun-toting urban thieves in this play. Or did you write this part in?
make it more gritty, make it more urban. I want to feel the streets.
Said our director never.
No, really, it was just like, you're a foreign guy, but talking this accent.
Vaguely foreign accent.
Yeah. But I was reminded on that call last night that in The King and I, all of my fellow students who are all white had basically wore brown face on stage. Not basically, they did. Everybody wore brown face.
No.
And also, so yeah, one of the friends on the call is a lawyer now, and she does a lot of great work. And she's like, the reason I can't run for a political office is because somebody's going to unearth the picture of me in The King and I.
Career ruined. Sophomore year. Oh God.
And also, one of the other guys on the call was the drummer in the pit band, and he said the director instructed him to play the gong every time the king walked on stage. And that was not in the score. That was an original idea brought to the table by their director. But the crazy thing is, this was a high school production. I guess it would have been 1995.
Yeah, this was in the 20th century in America.
Not a single person in the administration was like, do you think it's a good idea to have 120 kids with brown face on stage? Not a single kid in the play, including myself, was like, is this a good idea for everybody to be wearing brown face? Should I really talk in this offensive accent from a place that... And we had 3 sold out nights, and not a single person in the crowd or like a single parent or anybody was like, this is horribly offensive. We shouldn't be doing this. Yeah. Everybody just let it go, and that was it. And I kind of forgot about it until that call last night.
I mean, probably most people didn't let it go. It didn't even occur to them that it was a problem. Mm-hmm. Like given the context, like I'm not. As you're telling this story, I'm just like, my face is in my palm, and I'm just like thumbing through my back pages, like, what fucking play was I in? Like, like.
Well, it's funny because we started talking before we even got into that. Somebody brought up one of the schools in Massachusetts. I think that in the town they live in, there was an incident in like 2010 or something like that where there are 3 kids that dressed like the big 3 Celtics players from the time, and they all wore blackface, and how it was like, the whole school missed the opportunity to be like, hey, that's not cool, and then they put it in the yearbook, and whoever approved the yearbook missed an opportunity to be like, that's not cool. And so she was like, wow, that was 2010, I can't believe that. And then all of a sudden we found ourselves talking about The King and I, and we're like, that was only 15 years earlier, all of us did it too.
Yeah.
And it was like, our drama teacher pushed it upon us.
Yeah.
Like, oh boy.
Yeah, that teacher was at the helm of a lot of questionable shit. I look back most often to that, and I'm just like, nope. Nope, that's not a good impression to give young people.
No, not at all.
I'm going to go ahead and say, like, my takeaway, like, if we're going to do the P&L on my takeaways from my experience from that particular teacher, we're in the deep in the red. That was not. Yeah, there's a lot of things that probably need to be undone, even by just being exposed to it. And even at the time, like, as a stupid kid, I was, there were things that was like, no, like, it's just,
Yeah, I just can't believe how we all just went along with that. Like, essentially, like, the town went along with it. All the teachers, all the parents, we just let it go. It's so strange, and it seems so shocking and wrong right now.
Yeah,
but at the time, we all just walked right through it.
Yep. Well, this show's brought to you by Maine Spirits.
And if you need a drink like I do after that talk.
I'm sweating. Maine Spirits brings all of the delicious liquors and spirits into the great state of Maine. Liquor stores, restaurants, anywhere you see it, it funnels through this group, and they are kind enough to help us underwrite this show. And at the end of the show, I will show you how to make a delicious cocktail at home, because as a musician, because I'm a musician means that there's probably some food service industry experience in there. And lo and behold, I was a bartender, a bar manager for a spell. And though I refused to call myself a mixologist, though, I wasn't in on that whole thing.
You didn't get the degree?
There's no degree. I guess there is a degree, but it's just like bartender's good enough. It's like, it's like I'm a keyboard player, but I don't need a name of like, I'm a keyboard like keyboard player is good enough. But yeah, so we'll show you how to make a drink at home. At the end, you can find out more about Maine Spirits by going to mainspirits.com, or you can download their app for your smartphone, or you can follow them on Instagram at Maine_spirits, or you can sign on to the shit show dumpster fire that is Facebook and find them there.
Well, this show is also brought to you by Bull Moose stores, locations throughout Maine and New England. We talk about multimedia a lot on this show, and most of the multimedia in my collection was procured at Bull Moose stores. CDs, LPs, books, mugs with band logos and funny sayings, T-shirts, posters. You want it, Bull Moose has got it. They are at bullmoose.com. They are Bull Moose stores on Instagram, and they also have a Facebook page if you like to look at that shitty platform.
Piece of shit.
But Bull Moose is available for in-store retail with safety protocols in place for the I don't know if you're aware of this, but we do have a pandemic happening right now. Yeah, sorry to break the news. But Bull Moose. Go to Bull Moose, bullmoose.com. Yeah.
Gotta love Bull Moose. It is weird, though, that they issue every shopper a lit flamethrower.
Yeah, I think that's just a tie-in to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, though.
It's I thought it was a sanitation thing.
Oh, no, I think it's just I think it's a little of both.
Okay. It's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood branded flamethrowers for the first 5 customers.
That's right.
We're also brought to you by Suntiki Studios, which is a awesome rehearsal and performance space on Forest Avenue here in Portland, Maine. If you're listening from away, if you come by town, check it out. You want to get the band together and practice? Boom, perfect. They have all the backline, all the stuff. Are you allowed to play a show because the pandemic has finally subsided? Because everyone finally fucking wore their masks, for Christ's sake? Jesus. Anyway.
Or it went away like a miracle?
Yeah, just because the sun. Anyway, don't even get me started. Hashtag leadership. Anyway, Suntiki Studios are very good at dealing with the pandemic. They do it safely, with distance and sanitization. Heck, you even have to bring your own vocal microphone because that's smart, right?
Although
So,
coincidentally, they also issued their own flamethrowers there.
Yes, non-tie-in related.
Yeah.
They actually they have like, I think it's like a bunch of like Russian writing on it. It's weird. Anyway, and they're like red and like huge.
And they shoot lasers instead of just
and
flames.
they leak terribly. Lasers, like flamethrowers, not enough. Yeah, so Sun Tiki Studios on Forest Avenue. You can find out more about them at suntikistudios.com, on Instagram, and on the hellhole known as Facebook. All right. Do you want to do the sound, and then we'll tell people what we've got up our sleeves?
Let's do it. Let's do the sound.
The sea anemone. Never gets old.
Never gets old.
All right, we're on the other side of that wall. Whew. Man.
That was a steep climb, but we made it.
I still can't stop thinking about the plays I was in. Like, what was I cajoled into doing under the guise of normalcy?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's funny. My senior year, I played in the pit band rather than being on stage.
Subjected.
Yeah. And I didn't really like think it through other than I was just like, you know what? I'd rather play guitar than be on stage. But in hindsight, I'm like, maybe something in the back of my mind was like, don't subject yourself to being told to talk in an offensive accent again.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I can't. I don't even want to. I can't. I'm just gonna have to put that down and focus on moving forward.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, if the lawyer, our friend, the lawyer on your call, isn't running for office because of that, like, I mean, well, Lord knows I wasn't planning on running for office anytime soon. Because as I mentioned before, keyboard player. And podcaster, entertainer, light entertainer.
Keyboarditician.
Keyboarditician, yes, that's right. So, in the interest of getting to know each other, you and I, Zach, and also y'all and I's, y'all and we, I thought, what if Zach and I did a little friendship quiz?
Ooh.
I'm holding here in my hand my questions. 5.
What are the stakes here? What's the stake?
Oh,
is our friendship ended if we don't?
Do you want to make it a little? No, I don't want to end the friendship. We could make it a little more interesting. We could spice it up a little bit.
Ooh.
Do you want to?
Yeah. What do we throw on the table? Like, are we playing for like hot Cheetos or something?
The person with the most correct answers is, within the context of the friendship, the best friend.
Ooh.
For a month.
Okay. And after that, we can see other best friends.
And you can stay that way for a month, barring some sort of horrendous fall from grace.
Yeah. All right. Like your pictures from your high school play leaking onto the internet.
Right. And maybe we should throw a 20. Let's throw a hot 20. Let's throw a Hamilton in there.
All right. Just a screening of the Hamilton movie that is now online.
Yes. Let's throw, whoever wins this gets to watch Hamilton.
All right.
On Disney Plus. Brought to you by Disney
You're going to
Plus.
have to beep that out. They're not paying us.
Well,
No.
I'm going to leave it in and try to lure them in.
There we
And
go.
I'll tell you what, Disney Plus, it's probably better off that you sponsor the show, or we're going to start giving you the Facebook treatment.
That's
you
right.
Don't want that.
You get one positive freebie, and if you don't chip in, you get the Facebook treatment.
Ooh, it's like a mean turlet. All right, so yeah, I thought if we were to each ask each other 5 questions, 5, that we presumably should know the answer to these questions. And if not because you know the answer immediately, because we've memorized each other's lives, but through deduction, you'd be, at least that's how I constructed my questions, like you'll be able to get there via deduction. And I think that you are going to I think you're going to do great on this. I'm feeling really good.
I'm pretty sure with the same thing, a little bit of deduction and detective work, you have the potential to ace my 5 questions.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I feel valued. I feel seen. Okay, so let's do a couple questions. Let's do 3 questions,
right,
which will be a total of 6 questions. No, let's change that. Let's do 2 questions each, and then we'll take a break.
Ooh,
and
okay.
then we'll finish it up. Cliffhanger. Because I forgot that we've been yapping already for like an hour.
Yeah. So episode over. Well done. Let's see you next week.
Yeah, exactly. We gotta give people a break from our voices so they can hear our voices doing commercials. Okay, so clear my throat here. And there we go. Would you like me to start? Oh, I also made some I'll cue up. Here's the quiz sound.
Ooh.
The ominous quiz music. And correct answers will be rewarded with this sound. And incorrect answers will be signaled by this sound.
Ooh, I hope I don't have to hear that often.
We all on the same page here?
We're on the same page.
You and I. Would you like to go first?
Why don't you go first? You initiated this the friendship quiz, and also I'm just curious about your questions.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, I'll give you the first one's kind of a softball. Okay. Kind of. And so let me cue the ominous music again. There we go. Zach, my first live concert was A, Paul Simon on the Rhythm of the Saints tour, B, Paul McCartney on the Flowers in the Dirt tour, or C, Pink Floyd on the Division Bell tour.
First of all, I didn't know that this was going to be a multiple choice, but second of all, the answer is Paul McCartney, Flowers in the Dirt.
That is correct.
Woohoo!
Zach is now one answer closer to being the best friend.
Wow. I didn't prepare multiple choices for you.
Oh, that's okay. You do you.
Okay.
I ended up going down the multiple choice because it enabled me to get tricky with it.
All right. This is probably the hardest question on my list, but it's still something that I know that you know the answer to because we have talked about it.
So I throw you a softball, and you're going to come out of the gate and kick me right in the onions.
Absolutely.
Just
all right.
Cool.
Right to the onions.
Right in the summer squash.
I think you will be surprised at how softball this question is, considering I just set it up as the hardest question.
Okay.
What movie did I watch every single day after school in the winter of 1990 after receiving the VHS tape as a 1989 Christmas present?
Now, I'm going to be able to answer this confidently because of the context that you gave. But this could be any number of movies. It could be Back to the Future. It could be Raiders of the Lost Ark. It could be Jaws. It could be E.T. But because of the year, although I'm a little bit surprised because I feel like I might be wrong here. But I'm going to say it's Ghostbusters 2.
You're very, 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 very close just to the release timing of it.
But I'm incorrect.
But you're incorrect.
Do I get a second shot?
You do. And you know what? We also talked about it in our Ghostbusters 2 episode.
Well, I know. That's why I said Ghostbusters 2. I'm very close to the release date. See, the movies came out. It wasn't like now. Like you go see a movie in July and it's you can buy it at Bull Moose in August.
We specifically referenced this movie, not in this context, but we did specifically reference it in our Ghostbusters 2 episode.
Right. No, I remember you mentioning it, and that's why I thought it was Ghostbusters 2. So it'd have to be something before Ghostbusters 2. It'd have to be something that came out before 1989. It would have to have come out in 1988 or earlier. And it wouldn't be Batman, because that came out in 1989.
Well, you just answered it correctly, actually.
Batman?
Batman.
Did that come out that quickly?
It did. I was surprised about that too. I had to double check. I was like, I'm pretty sure I got it for Christmas that year, but then I looked it up, and the VHS came out actually before Christmas.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty fast.
In the fall of '89. Yeah, especially for back then. But I think it also plays into like the huge whatever marketing of that movie, like everything behind it. That they were like, we just blew it up at the box office. Let's make sure this is available for Christmas.
I mean, I remember the video cassettes were everywhere. I can picture it. It's a black cardboard sleeve with just the orange, or the yellow gold there Batman logo on the front.
Yep.
And it says Batman underneath it, because that's the name of the movie.
I don't even know if it said Batman. I think it may have just been the logo.
I got a bootleg copy that said Superman.
Gotcha. And it was somebody filming a television of the movie playing, but on the television was somebody who had filmed it inside the movie theater.
That's right. That's right. It was a little hard to hear, but the big moments shine through.
Yeah, that was the very first PG-13 movie I ever saw, and it came out the week after Ghostbusters 2, and pretty much just replaced all of my excitement for like the next year.
Oh, that, and also because Ghostbusters 2 isn't that great.
Come on, I gave it a B.
Yeah, I give it a B. And if you want to hear more about that, go back one episode. Yeah. All right, are you ready for a question?
I am ready.
Okay. Which of these classic hip-hop artists have I met? Okay. So
I don't even think I need the multiple choice, but
okay. But you do, because I'm giving you a setup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Go on.
So of this list I'm about to give you, I want you to identify the ones I have met. And by meet, I mean like meet, right? Like not just like shared a bill on a festival with them, right? So I've met them. Had some amount of parlance, some conversation. And this isn't even a complete list, by the way. So which of these artists have I met? And which did I open for in a performance setting? Like actually played with on a bill. Again, like not just like a huge spread out, like played in the same town on the same night, like shared a bill with, right?
Not like they were on the main stage while you were on the parking lot stage kind of thing.
So I'm going to give you a list. You're going to identify which of these artists I've met, that you know I've met. You're then going to identify which of these artists that I have met, that I have shared a stage with, not necessarily at the same moment, but as part of the same bill. And which one of these have I worked with in a recording capacity?
Ooh.
Are you ready?
I am totally ready.
Okay. Your choices are De La Soul, Flava Flav, Sir Mix-a-Lot, Naughty by Nature, Q-Tip, Ice-T, Young MC.
You worked with Naughty by Nature.
Correct.
And you have met and done a show with De La Soul.
Several, correct.
I think that's it of the options that you put there.
No, but there's one that I have met.
Ooh.
That I have not created with.
Huh. You gave me 4 total options, and I'll give you.
You've identified De La Soul correctly and Naughty by Nature correctly. So the these remaining artists, who have I met? Flava Flav, Sir Mix-a-Lot, Q-Tip, Ice-T, or Young MC.
I'm gonna say Q-Tip. You've met.
You know what? I'm gonna give it to you because I didn't. I didn't meet him, but I put him on the list because we were at Electric Lady Studios when we were working with Naughty by Nature. And as it turns out, D'Angelo is downstairs in the main room recording Voodoo at the time. and we got a tour of the studio, and which was nuts. You know what I mean? Like, but they were off. They weren't recording that day.
And this was with the Rustic Overtones for listeners who...
It was with Rustic and the Overtones, that's right. And we were on Arista Records, or Arista Records. I don't really care. We're not anymore. But yeah, so Q-Tip came in that day. So a couple of the other fellas did like meet him and pass him in the lobby. Mm-hmm. But this was also on that same period of time. The answer, by the way, that I intended, I'm going to give you the question because you nailed the other two perfectly, and it was kind of complex. It's Flava Flav. He was recording at a upstairs, a different room like than we were in at Avatar Studios, and he is exactly who you see. I
couldn't believe that there's no like crazy Flava Flav story that you've told me that stuck out in my mind for that. I was like, it can't be Flava Flav. He would have had something absurd to say about that situation.
Yeah,
at some point in these 20 years.
Now, I mean, just like that period of time was absurd enough as in and of itself, mm-hmm. and just that he like has a cameo in it is just very fitting.
Yeah.
As far as my life is concerned. So, yes, that's correct. Good job.
All right. Whew, I feel good.
Wait, did I get my question? Am I getting a point for my last question, or do I not get a point?
Yeah, you get a point for that.
Thanks, dude.
You got it. I mean, you came in through the back door, but you got it.
Loaded.
All right. All right. This is a 3-part question, but 2 of the parts are really easy.
Okay.
All right. When was the first time I saw a Beatle live in concert? Which Beatle was it? And how did I get the ticket?
Oh, maybe I want to say it was McCartney because he's like kind of like the tour most of the surviving Beatles, or just the Beatles in general. Mm-hmm. But I think it was Ringo Starr and his All-Star Band.
Should have gone with your gut, man.
And that's why I'm going to say that it's Paul McCartney.
All right, you got it.
And as far as it was one of them when?
Yes.
Whew. You were probably a little bit too young for the New World tour. So you probably went to the Driving US tour.
Ooh, you got it.
Which I believe would put us in the early 2000s, like right around 2003, 4, somewhere in there, 5?
2002.
2.
Yeah.
Okay. And how did you get your ticket?
Yes, this is the linchpin part of this question.
This is going to be some sort of like you were standing there with your hands at your sides, staring at the wall, and somebody just like walked up to you and gave you like a cool new hat and a sandwich and front row seats to Paul McCartney, Zach Jones classic.
Almost all of that is right on.
Did shit. Did it have something to do with my sister and catering?
It did not.
Okay.
Although she catered the Fenway Park show.
That's right. That's right. I went. Yeah. I did go to that one, but unrelated to her catering it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to guess that. I'm gonna guess that Mark Curto gave you a ticket.
Very, very close. All right, here's story time now. So, as you would recall, at the time, our band was called Rocktopus, and we had basically a grown-up version of Screech managing us.
Picture completely painted.
And he procured 2 tickets to that show.
Yeah.
One of which he offered to you. Mm-hmm. And at that point, Paul McCartney hadn't been on tour since the New World Tour.
Right.
And you said to me, I saw Paul McCartney during Flowers in the Dirt. He hasn't really toured in the past, whatever, it'd been almost 10 years at that point. Maybe he'll never tour again. You've never seen him. Take this ticket. You gave me the ticket to that show.
My God, I am a good friend to you.
Yes, you are.
Wow. Yeah. I do remember all of that now. And then he was like out and about, and I think we've even seen him together since.
Yeah. I think I've seen him 5 times now.
Yeah, same.
And I didn't see Ringo until probably like, I don't know, 2009 or 10 or something like that, but I've seen him like 5 times at this point too.
The show keeps changing, man. Dude, I was just listening to like a live tape of Photograph, Night 2, Meadowbrook, August 28th.
Actually, his show is great because, he's got a different band. Like, he's had, the core band has been the same for the past 5 or 6 years, but generally his all-star band changes out. And so you get like a whole different show because he'll come out and obviously he'll do Photograph and Don't Come Easy and stuff.
Sure.
But then, he'll get behind the drums and they'll pass the mic or pass the spotlight off to the different members of the band.
Right.
So it's cool, like
the whole thing is everyone in the group has had a number one, right?
Yeah. Or at least a hit. I don't know if you can be picky enough to say a number one hit at this point. But.
I think Ringo can be picky.
But,
have you ever seen Ringo play with Joe Walsh?
I have not. I mean, I've seen Ringo in LA, I think 3 times now. And usually, they always close the show with a little help from my friends. And so, Joe Walsh and everybody else will come out and do, sing gang vocals for that. But I've never seen Joe Walsh play guitar with Ringo. I mean, his first few all-star bands, like Joe Walsh was the guy. And obviously they're brother-in-law now, and they hang out all the time. But I think it's been a long time since Joe Walsh has been a regular member of the band. So.
I'd like to see Joe Walsh play. All right. Well, as it sits right now, we have each asked 2 questions, and I'm going to go ahead and say we're both 2 for 2 on account of Zach got 2 of my 3 sub-questions correct, which is the majority. And likewise, I got 2 of 3 out of yours correctly, also majority. And also, I really came out the hero in that story too, so.
So you almost get an extra point just for that.
That's right.
All right. I'll give you that extra point. Why not?
Okay. I appreciate it.
I saw Paul.
Man, that was a good show. I didn't see that show in particular, but that's. I'm glad I saw that dude play those tunes. Holy crap. Let's take a quickie break and go do the Bull Moose on a minute. Coming at you.
Oh, hey there. This is your old pal, Zach Jones. That's right, Zach, from Spencer and Zach Explore the Universe. And I am here with your Bull Moose Minute for the week beginning on July 20th. This week, Courtney Marie Andres, Old Flowers, on CD and blue vinyl. Old Flowers is about heartache, Andres says. There are a million records and songs about that, but I did not lie when writing these songs. The album is about loving and caring for the person you know you can't be with. It's about being afraid to be vulnerable after you've been hurt. It's about a woman who is alone, but okay with that, if it means truth. This was my truth this year. My 9-year relationship ended, and I'm a woman alone in the world, but happy to know herself. Well, that sounds deep and exciting, and I would like to hear that. Also, coming July 31st, that's right, next week, Paul McCartney's Flaming Pie Deluxe Edition box set. This lavish collector's edition of 1997's Flaming Pie contains 5 CDs, 2 DVDs, and 4 LPs. There's also a deluxe edition, which includes 5 CDs and 2 DVDs, and pared down individual editions on 3 LPs, 2 LPs, and 2 CDs. I know, that's a lot of media, but it features outtakes, home recordings, studio run-throughs, and more. This record saw Paul McCartney teaming up with Jeff Lynne as producer, orchestrations by George Martin, Ringo Starr plays drums on 3 of the album's tracks, you've got Steve Miller of the Steve Miller Band singing and playing guitar. It's a good record, return to form album. I support Flaming Pie, and I support this deluxe edition. Go to Bull Moose and buy it. Bull Moose stores are located all throughout Maine and New Hampshire, and they're here to take care of your multimedia needs. Your books, your CDs, your LPs, your Blu-rays, your DVDs, you name it, they've got it. bullmoose.com, Bull Moose stores on Instagram. This has been your Bull Moose Minute.
when we were on the break, I was looking at IMDb here because it's open on my desktop, and there's an ad for. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, and they can go ahead and give us money if they want. But it just says, "Real meat satisfy their nature," and it has a picture of this kind of ominous looking, like yellow-eyed black lab, like staring at you out of the darkness, like it's like coming at you like in the darkness, and you're only catching it's some of the sheen of its pelt.
Basically, the Cujo poster.
Kind of like not as like aggressive, but it looks like it could go terribly wrong. And then the bag of food itself, the food itself is called Crave. And then there's a picture of a wolf just looking at you like, I don't know.
Yeah, the wolf is like, I'd rather eat human.
Yeah. And maybe this dog, maybe this black lab would want to just tear your throat out. And then I'm looking at my dog, who also happens to be a black lab mix, I don't know, black lab and fantasy creature. I'm not really sure what Pete the dog is. But he doesn't look threatening at all. In fact, I think he's asleep. Hey, Pete, do you want to eat my throat? Pete, do you want to kill Papa? Do you want to kill Papa?
Yarf.
Do you want to kill Papa? Papa! Do you want to kill Papa? No. I think he's satisfied with his kibble. Although he'd probably eat me if I was the last option. And you know what? I support it.
Yeah.
Did you hear him grumble back there? Grumbly old man. All right, so the friendship quiz is underway. I've got my quiz back in my hand.
I have my quiz back in my hands.
And I'm ready to ask you question number 3. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I have had which of the following surgically removed? A. Appendix. B. Tonsils. C. 10 feet of my large intestine due to complications from Crohn's disease. Crohn's disease. Or D. Gallbladder.
I feel like I should know this, but I don't. I mean, this is just a wild guess. I'm going to go tonsils.
Nailed it.
Woo.
Nailed it. I really tried to throw you off the scent with the extra descriptive large intestine.
I feel like I would know, even if you never told me. I feel like I would know.
Yeah. Well, I went with all these other ones because there would have been many of these if the procedure had been done earlier in my life, it probably would have been more like the Steve Martin's barber from the SNL skit. Yeah. What you need is a good bleeding.
Who's the barber here?
Yeah, and all except for tonsils would have left some scar of some sort somewhere, and we've definitely had some poolside. We put in our poolside time in LA.
Yeah, showing off our rippling bodies.
More like rippling
in all the wrong ways.
More like showing off our bag of ruffles.
Yeah, our ruffling bodies.
Ruffling bodies. The sun gleaning off the chip grease that we've rubbed into our lower rib cage.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's correct. Tonsils. In fact, I got my tonsils out when I was in nursery school, and at the Small World Nursery School in York, Maine. Ah. And my classmate who's like my best buddy at the time, told everybody that I had my brain removed.
Like kids do.
Yeah, not joking either. Like he thought that that's what I had yanked out, yeah. And he might be right. They might have taken.
Yeah. I might be broken.
Yep. All right, challenge me.
All right, this is a challenge.
For a challenge.
And you've got it. A challenge, you say? The first time I experienced an earthquake, where was I? What was I doing?
Yep. I know where you were. because you were sitting right next to me, and that was the first time I had experienced an earthquake. And I believe that we were in Van Nuys, California, at Sound City, doing principal tracking for our record, while Josh Homie from Queens of the Stone Age was recording right next door, and we were sitting there in the couch in front of the Neve console, and all of a sudden things started shaking. And then we went outside and stayed there for the rest of the day. And this was in 2004. Am I correct?
You're absolutely right about everything except for one part.
What part?
I was the only one that was not in the control room when that happened, nor was I in the tracking room.
Oh, where were you?
I was out in the dining room, kitchen, lounge area, playing the Miss Pac-Man machine.
Oh,
and all of you guys, the rest of the band.
I guess it could have been any one of, yeah.
All of you guys ran out going like, "Oh my God, it was an earthquake! Did you feel that? That was I can't believe that just happened." And I had no clue. I'd just been playing the game. I was like, "Oh, I thought I was just rocking this machine."
You thought you were just kicking ass at Miss Pac-Man?
Yeah.
Oh man, I remember we were staying at the Oakwoods too, and we were like on the ground floor of this like cheapy. I mean, it was like fine, but it was like cheap new construction, you know. Mm-hmm. And it's like this, I was just picturing this thing pancaking down. I think I even like slept in the rental car that night. Like I was like, I don't know. I felt the earth move under my feet.
You felt the sky come crumbling down.
I was ready for it. Yeah. At that point, I'd never experienced the feeling an earthquake. Tornado, yes. Earthquake, no.
I mean, at this point, having lived in LA for
Lewiston, Auburn.
That's right. For 8+ years, I have felt my fair share of earthquakes now, but I still have that thing. Like a lot of times, like an earthquake will happen, and everybody's freaking out, and I'm like, I didn't feel that. There have been a couple really bad ones where it's like, oh, okay, I see my whole room shaking right now. This is an earthquake. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, I feel like I'm still like pretty clueless about it when it happens. Actually did a show at the Troubadour with Elijah Ocean last year at one point, and we had like right before the show, we went out to get food, and there had been like a huge earthquake the day before, like a record-setting, like hadn't happened in like a decade-sized earthquake, and so there were still aftershocks happening. And we were on our way back to the Troubadour. It was one of those things where like the band we were opening for took forever to sound check, so we basically had like the rush sound check, go eat real quick, and then come back and play.
Yeah, that classic awesome situation.
Exactly. And so we were on our way like back, and everybody that was standing in line to outside was just like, "Oh my God, do you feel this? Can you believe this is happening right now? We're having this earthquake." And it was the same deal where I was like, "Wait, right now it's happening?" I was like, I just had to like stand still for a moment to feel it, But it definitely it opened the door for a simple go-to line for Elijah when we were on stage that night. Where you got to say, "The house is really rocking tonight."
Oh boy!
And it was.
I mean, yay, but also boo. But yay.
Yeah, I mean it's right there though. You got to take it. You take it. Take it.
Oh yeah. I mean, totally understandable.
The low hanging fruit.
I wonder if maybe you have either like really like good shock absorption like built into your legs, so that it's just kind of like the earth is like moving and you just don't know. You're just like ready, like you just have like these really attuned like nerves and sense of balance and all this stuff.
Or my brain was removed when I was a kid.
Yeah, same joke, different punchline. Yeah. Or you're broken. Yeah. All right, are you ready for another question?
I am.
All right. This is a little tricky, so stay sharp.
All right.
The first movie that I saw in a drive-in theater was A. Fletch, B. I Am Legend, C. Song of the South, D. An Officer and a Gentleman, D. Oh, just a D. E. Deep Impact, or F. The Unforgiven.
Ooh, this is a tricky one.
Do you want me to hit the list again?
Yeah, give it to me one more time.
We got Fletch, I Am Legend, Song of the South, An Officer and a Gentleman, Deep Impact, The Unforgiven. This is the first movie I saw in a drive-in theater.
I'm gonna go. Again, this is just a guess, but I'm gonna go with I Am Legend. Ooh, that doesn't sound right. All right,
I'll give you another guess, though.
All right, one more guess. See, because I'm picturing you driving yourself to the drive-in, not going with the family. Uh-oh, this changes everything. Okay, Fletch.
That's a good guess, but it's wrong.
Okay.
It's a good guess, but it's wrong. I threw in "Song of the South" because we had discussed in our discussions about, like, I don't know, all matters racisms and whatnot. I think I had told you that I saw "Song of the South" was one of the first movies I saw at all in the theater. I saw it in the theater.
Wow.
Me.
See, I picture, even though you've told me that recently, I still picture it having to be 1940 or something for you to have to go to the theater and see "Song of the South." Nope,
it was like 1980 in America.
I mean, I guess if I was in The King and I in 1995 with a bunch of kids in brownface, you could be watching "Song of the South" in the 80s. I
mean, you were at least like a sentient person who probably could have put two and two together and realized that was a terrible and wrong thing to do, Zach. But like, I was just a child. So, but yeah, basically the same. No, Fletch is a totally good guess, and I threw that in there just because it was like, I don't know, that was a tricky one. The answer is An Officer and a Gentleman. For some reason, my parents, and for some reason I know why. It's because they had me, and my parents wanted to just go see a damn movie.
Okay.
And they're probably hoping that I just fall asleep in the back. But I didn't. Little did they know that they had quite the little movie hound on their hands.
You were like critiquing the movie from the back seat.
Yeah,
this is totally unbelievable. This character development is a mess.
We left because Lou Gossett Jr., I believe, was playing the drill sergeant in that movie or something of that ilk, and he referred to somebody as a scrotum head, and I remember that very clearly. Scrotum head.
Yeah, we don't use language like that.
No.
I mean, we do, but
not at 6 or 5, or I don't even know how old I was.
Wow. See, I didn't even entertain that option because I was like, okay, if his parents are taking him, they're not going to see, Unforgiven or Officer and a Gentleman. It's got to be the silly Chevy Chase movie.
Well, the Unforgiven we actually saw together for the first time, I believe. It wasn't your first time, but I believe it was my first time.
Okay. I was going to say.
Deep Impact we watched together.
Yes, we did.
I Am Legend, I believe you and I saw together.
Yep. See, I thought maybe like around that time you would have like, whatever. Somehow I was otherwise occupied and maybe you drove to the drive-in with other people.
Yeah, I guess I was the one thing I was hoping you'd connect with on that was like, why the fuck did he just mention an officer and a gentleman?
So, yeah, I didn't even consider that as a potential right answer.
All right. Well. All right, hit me.
All right. Every Christmas that I've been alive, I have been in York, Maine, at my family's house, except for one. Where was I? Why was I not there?
It's got to be some sort of touring thing. And I'm going to guess, if I have to guess where you were?
No, not the physical location. You're already on the right track. So.
Yeah, like but I'm trying to think of like if I didn't make it home for Christmas. Oh wait, were you in Portland, Oregon with me?
I was not.
No. Were you in Los Angeles with Kurt?
I was not.
Were you in a dumpster covered in petrol eating your own feces from a bag?
Very close.
Fuck, where were you?
So this was only 2 years ago. And it was when I got to, I toured with a singer-songwriter named Ruby Friedman, and we opened up for Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys fame on his Brian Wilson Does the Beach Boys Christmas Album tour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Which, as you know, I am a very big fan of his, so that was missing Christmas at home to be on the road with Brian Wilson was worth it.
Yeah, but that's If you're gonna miss it, that's a good reason.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, I didn't get that one right, but
It's all right. I didn't get your last one either.
okay. So
See, I thought this was more of a freebie though because it's like not even ancient history, but
right.
whatever. It's not only our friendship on the line. And screening
Well,
Hamilton.
you mean the part of the friendship where you moved to Los Angeles? That part?
Oh no.
To pursue your Hollywood dreams?
That's right.
Okay, just making sure we're talking about the same part of the friendship here. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't know that you missed Christmas because you were on tour with one of the greatest musicians of all time in Los Angeles. You know what I was doing? I'm over here trying to open up for fucking Uncle. Trying to get a reunion show together of some sort. Blue Oyster Cult came through town. It wasn't even Blue Oyster Cult. It was like their roadie. Like an opening slot for them.
It was like Violet Oyster Cult.
All right, you ready for this last question?
I'm ready.
You're going to get this one. It's not going to be easy, but you're going to get it. Which of the following films have I not seen? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
The Godfather Part 2. Cool Hand Luke. Lolita, the Kubrick one, not the remake by the Jacob's Ladder guy. The King of Comedy. Or Blade Runner.
You have never seen The Godfather Part 2.
You're wrong.
I'm wrong.
You're wrong, because when you were out in Los Angeles skipping Christmas, making your mother cry,
Not being friends anymore.
hanging out with rock stars, doing lines of Geritol with Brian Wilson, I was
catching
at
up
home
on some cinema.
finally watching. And that was a trick question, because up until last year, I had not seen The Godfather 1 or 2. And it had gone on so long, and I'd read so much about them, and I endured so much ridicule. Because, what? Like, the hips, like, what? You've never seen Godfather?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I said that too a lot of times.
Probably. And at a certain point, I knew that it was like, I know it's going to be good, and I'm just kind of keeping it in the chamber for when I did the same thing with Radiohead and Rainbows. I just, for some reason, when it came out, I bought it when it came out, but I didn't listen to it. I just wasn't there. I don't know. And then after a while, it's like, you know what? It's not even really about being a part of a conversation now because it's been out so long, So it's just sitting there. And guess what? When I put on Radiohead and Rainbows, it's fantastic. I love it. And guess what? Godfather 1 and 2, both as good.
Fantastic. And you know what is underrated? And I just watched it again recently, is Godfather Part 3. I mean, it doesn't live up to the first two, but it's a good movie. It's fine. I didn't watch that movie for like decades because people were like, don't waste your time. It sucks. And I finally watched it. I was like, this is a fine movie. It doesn't live up to the two greatest movies ever made that happen to be Godfather 1 and 2, but it's fine. It's good. It's worth it if you're watching The Godfather 1 and 2. You may as well get into the third one. I can't believe I left it off the roster for so long just because people told me, don't waste your time.
I saw that one first.
That may have been a backwards approach.
Well, I saw it first because it was we had like a corner store down by our house that would have like videos in, and it was really like you're at the whim of whatever videos they got in.
Yeah.
So I saw a lot of B movies. A lot. Ever heard of a movie called DEFCON 4?
Nope, never.
Yeah, it's fine.
I do know the answer to your
Watched it.
question now, though. If it's not Godfather Part 2,
It is what?
it's got to be the King of Comedy.
It is the King of Comedy.
Because, well, see, I so confidently went to Godfather Part 2 because I knew you hadn't watched either of them for so long. But little did I know while I was chasing my Hollywood dreams, you were catching up on your Godfather movies.
Finally.
But the other ones you listed, I know that I've watched sitting next to you. And King of Comedy, I don't have a memory of the two of us watching them.
We have not watched it, and for some reason, it's on my list now. I'm going to watch it ASAP because
it's Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro. It turns out it's it's good. It's a
and Jerry
combination.
Lewis, right?
And Jerry Lewis.
Yeah.
And Sandra Bernhardt, and probably her best
Sandra
performance
Bernhardt.
ever.
Yep, I kind of had like the double sell on it. I'm reading a book, which I'm going to pass to you, called Poking a Dead Frog. And it's a collection of interviews and advice from comedy writers ranging from like Carl Reiner era to Terry Jones from Monty Python, Amy Poehler. It just goes all over the place. Era-wise, experience-wise, print comedy, stand-up comedy, all that stuff, script writing. And that movie has come up more than once in that book. And then I was my new thing to do at night, my new YouTube rabbit hole, is to find entire episodes of Late Night with David Letterman from NBC from the 80s and watch them in their entirety. And if you're lucky, they're up there with the commercials still intact. But one of the episodes I watched had Sandra Bernhardt was the guest.
Oh, nice!
And it was, I believe, promoting that movie. When did that movie come out?
I want to say 81 or 2, maybe. I think it was their next project after Raging Bull. I think. Yep,
that tracks. That tracks. Because it was like a really early episode of Dave. Yeah, we got to do a David Letterman show, man. I keep going down this rabbit hole. Like, what a fascinating person he is to me. It's just, like,
I know that you like to watch Blu-rays through your black and white tube TV.
That's right.
But if you need to borrow the King of Comedy DVD, I'm your man. I got it on the shelf.
No, I've waited this long to watch it. I want to watch it as it's meant to be watched on Blu-ray. Or 4K, thank you. Then crammed through a black and white tube TV that has a crack.
14 different converters.
That's right.
And adapters.
3 feet of converters. hanging down like, weighed down like a branch in winter, covered in wet snow.
Fair enough. I know you like to take in your media the way you like to take it in. So.
That's why that's why it took me so long to watch The Godfather, because I couldn't find a tube TV with a big enough crack in the screen to truly enjoy it. All right, you want to hit me with this last question?
Yeah, this is it's a 1-part question with 2 answers. So,
oh Jesus!
And I'm not even going to give you the multiple choice. I'm going to make you dig into your memory. But there's a hint though, right there, that the answer is in your memory. Twice, I have been sick at very inopportune times. What were those times?
By sick, you mean throwing up?
That's what I mean.
I know the answers to both of these. And they were both tremendously inopportune, and one more so than the other. The first one, and maybe not chronologically, but the first one I'll talk about was we were in the throes of making our debut as Fast As record. And we were at that point taking any gig that we could to pay for the production of that record in hopes that we would be able to put it out and get ourselves one of those record deals. And we did.
Yeah.
So ultimately,
mission accomplished.
This is worth it. Mission accomplished. And then failed.
Yeah. We achieved some short-term goals. We missed some long-term goals.
Yep. So one of the gigs we took was on the Scotia Prince, which was this ancient, horrible, mildew-smelling, carpeted boat that used to be longer, that they actually cut the middle section out and just glued it together when you could see the seam. And we played the Halloween cruise on the way up to Nova Scotia and back. We were scheduled to play that night on the way out and again in an afternoon show. And they were going to sell all these tickets. No tickets were sold except for to my parents. I think they went on
Yes,
that.
That's right, which I forgot about.
Poor parents.
Your poor parents.
Yep. And we brought in production. They paid us a good amount of money to be there. We brought in a sound guy, a sound system. We had the whole thing ready to go. And then we started playing. And of course, at that point, I believe Ethan was sitting in with us because we didn't have a permanent drummer at that point.
That's
Andrew
right.
had not yet joined the fold. And so we, as we started playing, the boat set sail, and the motion of the ocean caused some commotion, and Zach might have had. I was going to try to rhyme potion in there, but you puked in a bag while we were in the middle of a song, which we then turned into a puke jam, and we were just playing. We were musically playing his convulsions, and then that also happened to be the very moment that the hotel manager walked up to the sound guy and said, "What is this?" And Jim said, "Oh, they're playing a puke jam. Guitar player's throwing up." And he's like, "Huh." It walked out, and I came across the event coordinator. We called him Captain Stubing. Like classic. He almost looked like Chuck Woolery. He had that classic like 80s game show vibe. And, and he said, "Hey, you are in the group, right?" And like, yeah. He's like, "Okay, so apparently, the hotel manager came by the show last night, and you were playing a puke jam." And I was like, yeah. The guitar player was sick, so we were just kind of like biding our time until he was done vomiting. He's like, "Oh, yes. Well, that's not really what we were looking for entertainment from you. So we're gonna go ahead and have you not play the afternoon show." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, just so you know, I've already cashed the check," because they handed us a check before we got on the boat, and I drove to the bank just sensing that there would be some problems and put the check in the bank. And he just looked at me. He was like, well, okay, very good then. And then he ended up doing this magic show, which I'm so glad it happened, because it was so like people who have been fired from every gambling situation as entertainers ended up there.
Well, that's the thing. So, yeah, that was before gambling was legal in Maine. So you had to sail to international waters to gamble.
That's right.
And even though that, I don't think interested any of us, it was like, yeah, we'll play this.
I gambled. It was like the only thing left to do.
Man, first of all, it's October out, like in whatever.
Not like gonna hang out on the deck with a mimosa.
In the northern Atlantic, in like wild waters. Yeah, it was like as soon as we left port, I was like, "This is bad news. I'm gonna get sick."
It was so bad.
And like they hooked us up with cabins, and they were like, "You have open bar and all that stuff." And
no, they didn't. They didn't give us bar.
I thought they did. But I mean, I don't know because I didn't end up drinking. But I remember going into it thinking like, "This is gonna be pimp, free rooms, free drinks. It's gonna be excellent." And as soon as we got out into the water, I was like, "This is awful. This is bad. I can't drink. I can't eat. Like I'm gonna throw up."
The reason, yeah. The reason I know that they didn't have open bar was because I didn't have hardly but any money at that point, and I remember being like super anxious, being stuck on this piece of shit in the middle of the ocean, and so like, and I distinctly remember running out of money and drinks at like 3 a.m, and then just all of a sudden sobering up while awake, which is just like, and then I ended up going to my room and crashing, and I thought like, well, I'll just go take a nap, and then when we at least hit Nova Scotia, I'll get out and like walk around, because it's you're docked for like an hour or two.
Yeah, I definitely got off the boat when we got to Nova Scotia. I was like,
yeah. I woke up as we were leaving Nova Scotia. I was like, no. So I spent my entire experience on that boat. It was fucking horrendous. The second time that you threw up an opportunity.
Let me add a couple more things to that.
Oh, please, yes.
So that was, as I said, as soon as we left the harbor, I was like, I'm going to get sick. And I remember when we played the gig, I brought a stool to sit down on. I was like, I can't even stand up. You guys were all standing up and playing, which is weird that I can't feel earthquakes. But as soon as we got under the water, I was like, I got to sit down. I can't stand. And I got a doggy bag and opened it up and put it on top of my amp. So when the moment came, all I needed to do was reach over. Yeah. I knew it was coming.
Not if. When.
Yeah, when. And then since we didn't have to play on the way back, I remember Ache and I just sitting like right in the middle of the boat, hanging out. I remember being much less sick on the way back. I don't know if the water wasn't as rough or I don't know what the deal was, but
we got used to it.
Yeah, but we didn't have to play. And we were just sitting there over and over again singing Sloop John B. We were just like, this is the worst trip I've ever been on. Like over and over again.
It was a miserable experience.
All right.
Truly miserable.
So the second time
you threw up is when we were bringing a Hammond organ into our apartment at 150 Washington Avenue, and we called upon you to be the third person at the top, because there's only three of us in the apartment, you, me, and Ache, and we're carrying it up, and luckily we had like furniture dollies. But you were kind of rousted awake by this notion, this task, and I will say that the night before you had maybe gotten after it a bit. So
probably. I mean, in those years,
probably.
There's a non-zero chance I didn't get after it the night before.
Yeah, non-zero.
I got to give that to Pete Donovan. That's his term.
That's a good one. I like it. Yeah, and so the Hammond organ, if you're not familiar with it, is like, it's like the kind of classic soul blues rock organ. It's big. It weighs about 400 pounds. And so we finally it's a terrible thing. We should have definitely had two more people at least. And so it's just the three of us. We get it up over the first set of stairs, and then we're starting to go up we're now in the building and going up the second set of stairs, and in the middle of it, you had to put it down and run to vomit because the experience was so jarring.
It was also it was midwinter, and I feel like it was like 15 below zero plus wind chill outside that day. So it was like I'd been rousted out of bed after drinking all night, and I think maybe had a cup of coffee. And was also like bundled up in like everything, all of the layers, and then trying to like by myself lift it up over each step while you guys supported the back end. And we got to the middle of the steps, and I was just soaked in sweat. My whole body was shaking, and I was like, I had to run and throw up, leaving you guys in the middle of the steps, holding organ
up in the midair, holding while you vomited, which is not like a quick pee.
No, it's I gotta wait till this is done, and
like we're just standing there, like just to kind of paint a picture. Like the door is now open. Ach and I are standing there holding the end of this 400-pound wooden and metal monstrosity.
Also bundled up for your winters.
Bundled up, and now we're inside, and now we're sweating. And we're just looking at each other, and we can't help but be close to each other. We're like, our eyes are maybe like 6 inches apart from each other. And we're just looking into each other's eyes like, why? And the soundtrack to us staring at each other very, very closely while we're just like buckling under the weight of this thing is you retching in the
It's like, I throwing up is one of my absolute least favorite things in the world.
Oh, I'm into it.
So those are probably the 2 times that I've thrown up in like the past 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll avoid throwing up. To what point I can. Like I've probably processed some questionable foods through my entire body, all in the name of not throwing up.
There are definitely times where putting a finger down my throat would just be the easiest solution, but I'm like, nope, not doing it.
Nope, we're gonna go with food poisoning.
We're gonna ride this out for the next 24 hours.
You know what? I'm going to potentially suffer through up to 3 days of crippling diarrhea. It's just so I don't throw up. Well, I mean, I would say that friendship quiz went pretty well.
I agreed. I think were we tied? I think we both.
Sure.
Or you may have come out ahead. I mean, you come out ahead just for giving me that McCartney ticket. So.
No, I mean, that is a pretty awesome thing to do.
That's pretty excellent.
I don't want to brag. No one's ever given me a Paul McCartney ticket.
Oh God! Now I'm on the.
Guilt trip.
Yeah. As soon as tickets go on sale for his next tour, I'm gonna have to buy you a ticket.
No one's ever bought me a Paul McCartney ticket.
I mean, assuming we ever get to see live music again. Not to
that won't happen.
Drag things down.
We never get to see him. And that's actually not true. My parents gave me 2 tickets to see Paul McCartney.
Yeah, there you go.
That's 2 family trips. So once before you had seen him on that Flowers in the Dirt tour, back to question 1, and then also again as a family trip in 2000, whatever. Great concert.
Yeah, he turns out he's a pretty talented guy. We should do a podcast about him.
If you want to hear some new music, you want to catch on a rising star, you should check out the Beatles' Paul McCartney.
Discovered by Kanye West in 2013.
Yeah, according to a lot of people, probably, which is insane. All right, well, good friendship test. High five.
Yeah, high five. Well done.
It's time for Happy Hour, presented by Maine Spirits. Sometimes when you're having a drink in the summer, specifically, I feel like you don't necessarily want a drink that's going to knock you on your ass. Pardon my French. Sometimes you want a nice, chill drink. So we're going to show you how to make an easygoing Negroni. Sherry replaces gin in this low-proof, slightly less bitter version of a Negroni. Let's get our tools together. You're going to need a mixing glass, a bar spoon, a strainer, and a rocks glass. For ingredients, you will need the following: Manzanilla sherry, sweet vermouth, and Campari. Now let's build this thing. In the shaker, combine 1 1/2 ounces of Manzanilla sherry, 1 ounce of sweet vermouth, and 3/4 of an ounce of Campari. Now stir it until very cold. Did I mention ice? Put ice in there. Once cold, strain into a rocks glass over a large ice cube. You can get those things, those kind of like latex or silicone ice trays. Get a big cube. If you don't have big cubes in your house, they're really fun. You should try them out. So strain this drink you've just made in a rocks glass on a giant ice cube and garnish it with an orange twist. Look at it, admire it, smell it, but most importantly, take a sip. It is so refreshing and unusual because you think the gin's going to be there, but it's not going to be there because you didn't put any gin in it. The sherry occupies a very cool space. It has a little sharpness, has some body and sweetness. I really enjoy this beverage. It's a nice yard drink, yardin' and chattin'. In the summertime, we're all about the yard drinks, aren't we? We're all about the yard drinks. This has been Happy Hour, and it has been brought to you by Maine Spirits. You can learn more about these drinks and drinks made by many other people at mainspirits.com. You can download their smart app for your phone. Smart app for your app phone. I'm never going to make it. Download their app for your smartphone. And also you can follow them on Instagram at main_spirits, where they post all kinds of things, including videos that I make for these things. So that's worth checking out. And from myself and Maine Spirits, we want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Just kidding. Please drink deliciously and responsibly. Spencer and Zach Explore the Universe is brought to you by Maine Spirits. You can visit them online at mainspirits.com or download their app or visit them on Instagram at main_spirits. The show is also brought to you by Bull Moose, serving Maine and New Hampshire's music, movie, video game, and book and trinket needs since 1782. Also brought to you by Sun Tiki Studios at 375 Forest Avenue or at suntikistudios.com. Spencer and Zach Explore the Universe is a Mistakes Were Made production.